Hello. It is Warhammer Wednesday. Dun dun dun. How's everybody doing? Let's get some hypes. Or, whatever. Whatever you feel like. Alright, so what am I working on today? Let's start with that. I decided to circle back. Rabid Wombat's hungry. Rabid Wombat, you should get something to eat. Thank you for the follow, Barb 7 grands. So I decided to circle back. And let's just finish Shadowspear. Let's get this thing done. Because I was thinking about it, and I had talked about how I wanted to do some conversions on these Chaos Space Marines, but they're pretty cool as they are. And to be honest, I have a metric ton of Noise Marines already. I don't really have that many plain Chaos Space Marines, and there are a couple of fun varieties here. You've got the Plasma Gunner, you've got a couple Chainsword dudes. The Aspiring Champion is neat. The cannon here, so I'm just gonna build them the right way then. Build them stock because it's all good. And these from this set, remember that they are mono pose, so you don't have options for how you want to pose them or anything like that. But in this set, you do need to glue everything. It's not like some of the other ones where they're push fit. So yes, that's what I'm going to be doing, and then talking about all the good stuff. Rabid Wombat, you just ate. Yeah, I agree with Zardoz. If you just ate lunch and you're hungry, then you have done something wrong. Tired. Got to sleep in a little bit. The kid, well, the one kid, Benjamin, does not have school for the Thanksgiving holiday, which was nice. He actually slept in, or rather, he didn't bother us first thing in the morning, so slept in a little bit, but still tired. That's how it goes. Yeah, Zardoz, I was actually just thinking about that. I had looked to see if there was any interesting news, and the Blood Angel stuff it's ridiculous. It's great though. I always love it when Games Workshop gives rules that are they're just really thematic and well thought out and unique to an army. And yeah, the Blood Angels are definitely getting that sort of thing. Hey Ardinsk, welcome. My day's off to a good start. It's gonna be a busy day, but we're making it happen. I mind unhelmeted Chaos Space Marines heads much. I don't mind them nearly as much as I do regular Space Marines. Let's put it that way. Chaos Space Marines are supposed to be ugly and weird looking. Lots of them have weird hairstyles, top knots, and so forth. So that's fine. It's all good. Ooh, that's cool, Zardoz. A black hoodie with an Adeptus Mechanicus patch. I love it. Yeah, and then what we've been seeing especially is, so if you're not familiar with the new Warhammer or Warhammer at all, Games Workshop has introduced a new system, an entire new system in this new 9th edition, a new way to play the game. So yes, you can sit down and just play a game against a friend or at a tournament, and it's a one-off game, and that's it. You create whatever story you want to in your brain, and that's about it. But now there's this crusade system, and if you've watched Grimdark Dawn or anything like that, it's basically that. It's creating a narrative and characters with your games. Obviously, in the thought that you're going to play more than one game in a series, whether that's at a store or just with your buddies. And they keep introducing some really neat mechanics for that. because the idea is that you keep track of everything your army does in a battle, and you get various kinds of points for it, and those points then you can spend between battles on upgrades or on penalties, and yeah, and it's really cool. It's an expansive system. There's a lot to consider and look at and decide in between games, but it's really fun. Obviously, like with most things, Space Marines have gotten just a huge amount of options right at the beginning. Yeah, Rabbit Wombat. I mean, in theory, eventually. Yeah, but like I said, just the really thematic stuff. And so this morning, I think, they revealed some new Crusade rules for the Black Company, or the Death Company, rather, of the Blood Angels, and just all sorts of neat things that they can do. And yeah, it's basically Blood Angels week because their Codex supplement is coming out soon. And they're not getting new models, but they are getting a pack of, I think it's Assault Intercessors, is that it? With the specific Blood Angels sprue. Just so you can build your Assault Intercessors and then slap a Blood Angels thing on it. The Black Parade, yes, they're always on parade. But yeah, there's this whole cool system. Essentially, how do we sum up everything that's wrong with the Blood Angels? So the Blood Angels Primarch was Sanguinius, the Angel, and he was called that literally because he had wings. One of the more obvious mutations among the Primarchs. And he was also really sensitive, and he had some Psyker abilities. Oh, it was regular intercessors. Sorry, not Assault Intercessors. Why did they get Assault Intercessors? So yeah, the Angel was cool. He did a bunch of stuff. But during the Horus Heresy, a couple things happened. First of all, he started getting visions of his own demise at the hands of Horus, the main traitor. And then also it turned out, there may be a problem with the Blood Angels gene seed. I mean, to be honest, there are lots of problems with a lot of gene seeds. It goes around. Whether that was tampering from somebody or just the Emperor wasn't quite as good at the genetics as he thought, a lot of them suffer some pretty serious issues. Anyway, the Blood Angels takes the form initially with the Red Thirst. And what does that mean? Well, every so often a Blood Angels Space Marine will turn into a vampire with an unquenchable thirst for blood. And typically when this happens, the higher-ups will notice. They'll take him aside and quietly execute him when no one's watching. Which is all, fine and good. Unless you're that one. So then what happens is later on in the heresy, there's a big battle between Sanguinius and a demon, and it kind of messes with Sanguinius's head. Yeah, no one's perfect. These kind of things happen to everybody. But there's this big battle and things aren't going very well, and Sanguinius kind of has a little bit of a mental breakdown, and because he's such a powerful psyker, it affects his Space Marines, his children, and it kind of links them all to him, and they sort of suffer shared visions with him, and it's not good. And then later on in the heresy, and this is, I mean, I guess technically spoilers, but this has been lore since like the very beginning. In the final moments of the heresy, Sanguinius is in fact killed by Horus. and there's a psychic backlash that happens that affects every single Blood Angels Space Marine. And interestingly enough, somehow it continues to affect even new ones that are created later through some sort of genetic memory, genetic heritage in their gene seed. It's magic. It's space. It's science-y future space magic. It doesn't make any sense, but it happens. And because of that, Blood Angels, even brand new ones that are created, even Primaris Blood Angels, which again makes no sense because they basically are, scrubbed with new DNA and everything anyway. But anyway, they will. The Red Thirst is generally. They've kind of figured out how to just use it. But yes, every so often they'll undergo the Black Rage, and then they shuffle them off into what's called the Death Company. They paint their armor black instead of red. They're super emo, and they get some special rules. They can't run away when they're fighting, but they're a little bit tougher in melee. Some stuff like that. Just the point of all that backstory is, again, especially with the new Crusade stuff, they're getting some fun rules where you can actually choose which vision of Sanguinius they're manifesting as they're going crazy in battle, which is kind of neat. And yeah, so I like to see this stuff, and I really like to see Games Workshop emphasizing the narrative, because again, that's what we always did on Grimdark Dawn and stuff. Yes, and the Black Rage is fatal, but more often than not, just because they're going to be so uncaring of their own lives that they're just going to be reckless and run into battles they can't win. Which is, it's fun. It's emo. But yeah, Blood Angels are pretty cool. I don't really think I would ever play them, but I can appreciate them. Okay, so we did our Aspiring Champion with the Chain Axe and Plasma Pistol. Oh yeah, there are Black Friday sales going on everywhere, and then just a regular bolter dude. Maybe Games Workshop saw Grimdark Dawn. It's possible. They knew we existed on some level. This is a really interesting sprue. So this has the whole team, but the parts for each individual Marine are scattered across the sprue. It's not like this is one guy, this is another guy, this is another guy. It's bits and pieces everywhere. And again, when the science and the technology to make a sprue is crazy, but it's all about distribution of plastic and how it flows through the machine and balance and all this kind of stuff. At least modern sprues are like that. Yeah, if you're looking to pick up some non-Games Workshop miniatures, I highly recommend checking out Miniature Market's Black Friday sale, because they have like a billion things on sale right now. A lot of good stuff. Some of the third-party miniature companies also run Black Friday sales. I think Cromlex just started this morning. Yeah, Rabbit Wombat. When we went to the grand opening of the Warhammer Citadel in Texas, I spoke to Andy Simile. Is that his last name? Simile, Smiley, something like that. That guy's had so many different titles at Games Workshop. I can't remember what his current one, but he's a pretty high up dude. But yeah, we were talking about Grimdark Dawn and stuff that was happening at Hyper. It was a fun conversation. Okay, this guy gets 9. 9? Yes. Arm number 9. Yoink. Can't put demonettes on. Well, I don't know. Does TOS apply to something like that? I don't know. I don't know how that would work. That's an interesting question. Because, I mean, if it's art, I don't know. Well, you won't find any exposed nipples among these Space Marines, sadly. Unless I convert them. Right. I'm looking for an... Oh, there's the knife hand. Okay. Chaos Space Marines are, of course, the Fiends and the Beast. I mean, I guess. Huh. Yeah, numbering really helps on sprues. But again, when the parts are scattered over the whole thing, it's like, okay, it just takes a little bit more time to find everything. Okay, so I have both arms. I need 11 and 12, the head and the backpack. Aha, there's 11. Yeah, that's true. Why risk it? You could... Beforehand, you should just apply little pasties to all of the model parts. Then you'll be fine. There are definitely third-party miniatures out there that are a lot more scandalous than demonettes, than Games Workshop demonettes, I should say. Oh, Zardoz, yeah, I mean, Walmart has... What from G1 have they not reissued by this point? I actually don't have any of those, which is a shame. Thought about it. Benjamin was into Transformers for a hot minute. He'll probably return again. And my brother gave Benjamin some vintage G1 toys. That was fun. Black Cavalier says, I know this is the wrong form to ask this, but should I buy them first 40k models almost 30 years? I mean, Black Cavalier, the answer is if you ever find a good deal, then yes, you should buy it. 30k Marines are awesome. Which mark of armor are you looking at? Typically, you'll find most of the 30k stuff is Mark 3 or Mark 4. I'm a big fan of the Mark 4. And they go really well with Emperor's Children. Mark 3 is good. Mark 3 is a little bit more brutal. I don't have a picture at the moment, but yeah, we had done Mark 3. Yeah, no, a lot of people really like those too. They're yeah, depending on what legion you're doing. Certain marks are, you know, more appropriate, more fit in better with the army. But yeah, like I said, I really like the heresy designs, or the designs from the Horse Heresy era. Do it. Yeah, one of these days, another thing on the list is I have to sit down and really figure out what I want my 30k army list to look like. And then I can build all of the models that I have for it. Because 30k, the Horus Heresy game, works a little bit differently than regular 40k. Essentially, almost all the armies are Space Marines. Yes, you can play a couple Xenos armies, but primarily it's Space Marines. And the game system is designed around playing really big squads of Space Marines, rather than in 40k where you generally play Space Marines in squads of 5. And that's because in 30k, when you buy an upgrade for a squad, you don't pay typically, you don't pay per model, you pay for the entire squad. So it's actually beneficial if you're going to upgrade a squad to have as large a squad as possible, because then the upgrades are cheaper overall for your army. It's just a different way of building your lists. So I have a lot of Marines to build, but I have to decide in advance how I want to build them, what my army is going to focus on. And there's some pretty specific things that most people do with their Emperor's Children armies, but I just have to decide before I do it. Black Cavalier, that sounds awesome. I as others have said, I'm very good at encouraging people to buy things, but it sounds like you've got the project in mind. You know what you want to do with it, so I say go for it. And again, anytime you actually find a deal, pull that trigger. So this guy is a Bolter Marine who's also holding a cool knife. Oh, he's got a really neat head. Look at how angry that helmet is. Love it. So Chaos Space Marines. A decent amount of the Chaos Space Marines who are running around in M42. So yes, we're not technically in around the year 40,000 anymore. We're a bit past that. But a fair amount of these guys are actually from the old legions, 10,000 years old. Now, are they actually 10,000 years old? Well, some of them are. But because when you're dealing with a lot of warp stuff, time is a little malleable. And a lot of Chaos Space Marines spend a lot of time in what's called the Eye of Terror. And it's a place of demon planets and all sorts of warp shenanigans. And when you travel through the warp, sometimes you lose time, sometimes you gain time. And the more you travel through the warp, the more likely something like that is going to happen. And so you get Marines who sometimes you take a journey and it takes a week to get to someplace. Sometimes it takes 200 years to get someplace. You never know. So with crazy time issues like that, there are lots of Marines who are older technically than the years they've been active. Although all of the Chaos Space Marine war bands, traitor legions, whatever you want to call them, they do continually recruit and add new people. Men, I should say. Although again, in the novels, there are ladies out there running around who are warriors who wear Chaos Space Marine power armor, but not technically Chaos Space Marines. sort of. Yeah, Zardoz. I don't really have an interest in playing Chaos Space Marines other than Emperor's Children. So, yes, one day these will all be gloriously, garishly pink and black and all sorts of cool stuff like that. And I have zero desire to play a mixed god loving thing like the Black Legion or anything like that. No undivided for me. You gotta be pure. $20, $19. Where's 19? Okay, 19 is the back half of a Marine. It should be easy to find. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Ah, this one. And Chaos Space Marines really run the gamut of completely mindless berserkers to characters with some personality. It's a really weird dichotomy that Games Workshop somehow balances on with Chaos Forces. How, when you read about them on their own, so most of the Chaos Forces absolutely hate another branch of the Chaos Forces. Like, will stop what they're doing to attack that other branch. And yet somehow Chaos Undivided people, they all just get along. I have a hard time reconciling all of that in my brain, which is another reason why I don't really have any interest in playing an army that's combined from various ones. It just doesn't. I don't look. Yes, it happens in the lore, and of course there are traitor legions who just really don't have to do with any gods. Zardoz, like your Night Lords. Yes, they're Chaos Space Marines, but they're not really close with any one god at all. C21. This is a chain sword arm. There it is. And 23. The backpack. Which of course is all the way on the other side of the sprue. Because why not? It's called Chaos for a reason. All right, that's a good point. I admit that. And yeah, the word bearers are special because they sort of, I mean, boy, those guys will just honor and worship any being of divine power, won't they? Also, I get turned off a little bit because, especially in the last couple editions of the game, it became very fashionable for Chaos Space Marine players to play, and I mean, Games Workshop gave you the rules, so it's not like it was cheating or anything, but to play mixed Chaos Space Marine armies, where you've got some Noise Marines, because there's the stratagem that lets them shoot, twice, along with some Nurgle stuff, because they're, super tough, and you got some of these guys, and it was like, yeah, no, I get it, and I get that you can min-max a Chaos Space Marines army like that. But I mean, unless you're playing Black Legion or something really specific, like what's your narrative? And no, you don't need a narrative to play, but you should have one. If you want to be cool, yeah, but soup. The only way to go. Yeah. And Chaos Space Marines on the table can be played in a bunch of different ways. For a while, you don't see a lot of, or at least in general, you don't see a lot of plain Chaos Space Marines. Typically, you know, if you're running those armies, you want troops that are a little bit tougher, so you're going to use Cult Marines. Cult Marines are the god-specific options that can be troops if you're playing those specific armies. So, like for me, when I play Emperor's Children, instead of using regular Chaos Space Marines as my troops, I get to use Noise Marines. So it's like, am I ever going to pick these regular guys over Noise Marines? Very unlikely. But the new codex will be coming out at some point this coming year, and who knows? There might be all sorts of reasons to play these guys. Now again, the models though are really flexible because you can outfit them with so many different weapon options. There are also other squads of Chaos Space Marines that you can use these models for. So even like I said, even building these just as stock Chaos Space Marines, even if I never play a squad of stock Chaos Space Marines, doesn't mean I won't have the option to make use of these. If that makes sense. Like Havoc's, the heavy weapons, Chaos Space Marines, their aspiring champion, their sergeant, apparently. They use a different word. He cannot use a crazy cool heavy weapon, so he's essentially just a Chaos Space Marine usually with some sort of a melee weapon, so you can use another model for that. Lots of options. Lots of options. Let me see. Yeah, writing to Victorian Miniatures and asking about their halflings. Yeah, do it. Hey, I mean, that's how a lot of this stuff gets made. People just talk to these companies, and this, if they see a want for something, they'll try to fill that need. Oh, Zardoz. Chosen, a really great unit that we haven't had actual models for in a very long time. Yeah, that'd be nice. All those people tired of hunting down those old starter sets. Fadir says, I'm trying to keep my Warpsmith undivided. Bit of a nerf for a character since he has the Infernal Will. Yeah, I mean, and again, like, what I was talking about, you know, not going undivided, that's just personal preference. Of course, there are ways to do it, and there are ways to do it thematically. There are canonically legions who don't follow one god specifically, or who share the bounty of them all. Again, the most famous one is the Black Legion of Abaddon, and Abaddon is blessed by all of the Chaos Gods, and freely works with Khorne Berserkers and Noise Marines, and, you know, he's got a little bit of everything in his armies, and that's all good. I'm pretty good at adjusting my language depending on who is around. I mean, you have to be with... Well, you don't have to be with kids, but it does help not turn them into complete raving monsters. Which is sometimes more successful than other times. All right, we're doing the 24, 25-ish place. Yeah, so as we were talking about with those Battle Force boxes that are up for pre-order this weekend, allocations on those are hell. So if you want one, talk to your local store, independent or Games Workshop. If you have a buddy who works there, if they're doing any kind of like online pre-ordering that you don't have to go into the store and you can pay for it. My store actually does that, but it might be tough to get your hands on these things. And stores are reporting that they're going to be able to get one of each Battle Force box, which is insane. Okay, 28, 26. Whoa. Sorry about that. Extreme close-up of the sprue as it goes flying by. Alright, 26. Chainsword arm. Is it this one? Yes. I did have Landmine has, yeah, some of the, it seems like some retailers who have a maybe a larger internet presence, it seems like they have more access than some other people, which is interesting. But I think it used to be that, yeah, if you were an online retailer but you had a brick and mortar store somewhere, like you could skirt the rules a little bit as far as being able to order more stuff. Oh my goodness, where is this arm? It is a C-27. It's a bolt pistol arm, but it's not that one. Ah, it's this one. Whoa. Okay. And C-29 backpack. Not that one. We're getting a couple over here, but it's not those either. There it is. Yeah. Oh, and obviously, Chaos Space Marines are much less regimented when it comes to their armor and decorations and things like that. You won't. They don't have a. They don't have the Codex Astartes to tell them how to handle all of their business. So when you get a set like this, their shoulder pads will have a huge variety of symbols and decorations on them, but obviously nothing for a specific army, and you can just sort of either paint them or add on other stuff if you wanted. Good. I will admit, I was tempted to try to hunt down the Chaos Space Marines box, because while I have Chaos Space Marines, I have Chaos Space Marine Terminators, I don't have the latest versions of those models. Although I have these, and I have a Mauler Fiend, but I do not have a Forge Fiend. But at the end of the day, I don't need any of those things. Like, I really, really don't need them. And I still have plenty to build. and everything in the world to paint. And the Space Marines one is, for me, that one's garbage. I have everything in there at least once over. And it's so weird that it's so much Phobos. Hey, Shadow! Yes! Thanksgiving break. I know, it's so great. Yeah, my son miraculously actually slept in and left us alone this morning, even though he had no school. How is Shadow? How are things going this year with all the craziness? I have a couple friends who are teachers, and they have very interesting things to say about all this. Can't be easy. Yeah, a friend of mine, he's a what grade does he teach? 3rd grade or something. But he has so many crazy Zoom and Google Classroom stories about what kids are doing while they're on, or what parents are doing in the background. It's wild. Or like one kid was using the Zoom chat to tell the teacher that his internet connection wasn't working. That's why he wasn't on. It's like, it doesn't quite work that way. Oh yeah, and all the people who are trying to switch back and forth between different systems. It's bonkers. Oh hey John. Yes, we are building Chaos Space Marines from the Shadowspear set. I'm only, what, 3 years behind? Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, where we are here in Burbank, early on, they're like, oh, they did all these surveys. What do you want? What system do you want? If we can get to hybrid, how can we do it? Blah blah blah. My family always said, we're not sending our kid anywhere. We're always going to be home no matter what. But obviously, that's a luxury not everybody has. But yeah, they kept threatening like, "Oh, we're trying to figure out hybrid. It might happen." And then there's like, it's never happening here, at least. The rules are too strict. The numbers are too bad. But yeah, trying to go back and forth. Oh, and then they said like, if we did switch, kids would have different teachers going into class versus distance at home. It's like, it's crazy. Yeah, Shadow. Like the kids need structure for sure. John, you ever think about doing any chaos? You got a couple armies going now with orcs and your Space Marines. You've thought about it? Anything tempt you specifically, or just in general? Not that I'm trying to get you to buy something. I'm just wondering if there's something that had caught your eye, or whether it's lore, rules, models. Don't give in to chaos. Yes. Give in to chaos. Yeah, Shadow, exactly. It's like, look, we gotta get this thing done, then we'll all go back. This is sort of this is a year, people are gonna, it'll be a rebuilding year for sure for a lot of people. But that's okay. We'll get through this. I'm not actively trying to get John to buy something. I'm just genuinely interested. That's all. I do find it's an interesting what is it? Is it psychology? I don't know, something like that. But to watch people look at all of the different factions and the different aesthetics and see what speaks to people, even if, like I said, even if they have no plans on ever actually buying any models or building an army or playing it, but yeah, no, I find that interesting what people like. Because it's always fun to make those jokes, right? You know, it's a friend of yours, and you're like, oh, you totally be a Thousand Suns guy or whatever. Get more orcs. Get more orcs. Yes. Ah, the great unclean one. So gross. Shadow, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, and with Space Marines, yeah, you can really emphasize the heroism and the, you know, standing up for all of humanity and paint them all nice and clean. For sure. Okay. Another one done. Oh, I like this guy. I like his helmet. He's horny. Bolt pistol. Chain sword. He's also got a cool backpack. It's got balls. Place him with the rest of his bros. All right, last one on this page. C30. I always assume it'll be easier to find parts when there are so many fewer left on the sprue, but I still hunting around. I can't believe I'm almost done with my Shadowspear box. Switch. Is it 31? Yes. Oh yeah, and for anybody who's here today who wasn't here yesterday, hasn't seen, there's a donation goal box at the top of the screen there. No pressure on anybody, but I thought it could be fun. So it's basically to get the new Gladiator tank model, and if the community feels like it, I figured we could do it. Obviously, I'd build it on stream, but you guys could all help me decide what loadout to put on it, how we want to decorate it, what we want to call it, some fun things like that. But zero pressure. Just pointing it out. Keep knocking over my glue. Stop it. Magnets, yeah. Yeah, I know that the Games Workshop has shown the sprues for it, but I don't know that. I'm sure somebody has. Well, thank you very much, Shadow. I appreciate that. I don't know that somebody has like looked at every part to figure out how you could magnetize it, but you probably can. Games Workshop has done so much better job lately with making their kits so that you can actually swap parts between things. Now, this doesn't apply to everything, and there's certainly kits where you can't, and it's really frustrating. But it definitely seems like there's been an internal decision that it's like, all right, we'll let them do it a little bit more. Especially like the Fire Strike servo turret where you can literally just pull the one set of guns out and pop the other ones in. You don't have to glue anything. That one's great. What was the other one that I was just thinking of? Oh, the Hammerfall bunker is it. There are different ways of that you could do it, but it would be pretty easy to build something to swap out the heavy bolters or flamers. So yeah, that's always good. Shadow, you didn't know you did. Yes, they don't come pre-built unless you buy it from somebody who already built it. But building is, for me at least, I love building models for the most part. It's rare to get a Games Workshop plastic model these days that's really difficult to build. It has happened, but their manufacturing is up to such a high level these days. Now, Forge World still has some gnarly models that can be pretty difficult. I'm sure it's floating around, but a couple of years ago, Duncan, who is like the god of Warhammering, did a video for Games Workshop about how to build a Forge World resin model. Because there are all sorts of specific things you need to do with resin. But in that video, I love the video because it was really, really good information. But in the video, he gets a resin tank from Forge World and does the entire process, start to finish. Check to see if you have all the parts. Do all those scrubbing and cleaning, dry fit, trimming, gluing, and everything else. But it's literally the same process that we do at home. He puts pieces together. Pieces don't fit. He's got to sand. He's got to use green stuff to fill in holes. And they showed it, and they didn't try to hide any of the issues that can and will happen with resin building, especially on a larger scale model. I thought that was pretty good. How do you cut without cutting myself? It does happen from time to time. It's practice. You just learn how to do it. You just can't be afraid. That's where I think people get in trouble. You can't be too hesitant. And again, the part that's just behind the blade is actually resting against my hand, so you actually have a fair amount of control. And you just got to take it slow, be precise. But no, I certainly have wounded myself on several occasions. But you get battle scars. Where did you get that scar? Oh, I got it in Warhammer. Alright, so we got another bolt pistol chainsword dude. Rabid Wombat, yeah. Yeah, and also resin often comes a little bit bendy. A lot of the sort of long, straight parts, like gun barrels and things like that, will often come bent. But there are various ways of fixing that. Basically just heating it up. Dipping it in very hot water, or if you have a hair dryer, or if you have a heat gun. Process is always the same. Just heat it up until it's malleable, and then hold it. Basically, you straighten out the piece, and then you hold it still and steady, or you can get some sort of essentially like a splint or something to hold it, and then either let it cool naturally, which takes longer, or dunk it in cold water while you're holding it in place, and then the resin will re-solidify the way you want it. it's great the way that works. What's that squeaky noise, guys? Okay, can you stop that, please? Thank you. Okay. Down like the Craft World Rangers can shoot with those resin sniper barrels. Yeah, oftentimes you'll get things and it's they're super droopy. Or what's that? Is it a dreadnought weapon? Anytime you get a piece where it's multiple barrels of a gun and they're just like they're crossing over each other. Sometimes they come really super warped. All right, we got all these guys. Now we move on. Last page. So you get an autocannon dude, a plasma gun dude, and then a couple more standard style Chaos Space Marines. Zardoz upgrading your streaming rig. That's cool. It's exciting. 35 and 36. So I guess everybody's doing the new World of Warcraft thing. It's the new hotness. Another reason why I'm glad I don't play video games. I couldn't keep up with all the new releases, what everybody's working on. Well, I guess some of the games that people stream are cheap or free. Whoa. That was fun. Six. I need 38, 30, 37, 38, 39, 40. All right. 38. You should all go tell Jessica to play Hades. I think she'd like it. I volunteered I would come on and tell her all the nerdy backstory of everything. That could be fun. Let's see. What was I doing? 37? Yes, 37. Speaking of people playing Hades and me talking about it, this afternoon is the Myths and Video Games show on Pete Wiz's channel, 3 p.m. Pacific time, where we will be doing exactly what I just talked about. But we are finishing up the game. We'll be watching gameplay and talking about everything there is to talk about in the game, in the myths. It's been super, super fun. I'm looking forward to this final episode. So yeah, check that out. Yeah, Andy's playthrough has been really fun. I haven't been able to catch a lot of it. The times that he and Janelle stream, it starts during our busy kid time at night, but when I have been able to pop in, it's been super fun. But if you haven't seen any of those streams or our Myths and Video Games streams lately, yes, as a former classicist, I have a lot to say about Hades. And just about all of it good. That game, they did a really good job in that game. Even if things aren't exactly, how they were in the myths, The spirit is certainly there, and I very much appreciate that. And they included a lot of like super in jokes and things that, you know, your average person might not get. So yeah, that's today. Tomorrow I will not be here. I've been taking Thursdays off lately anyway, so it worked out. Be back on Friday for Figure Friday. And then this weekend, big weekend, folks. Big weekend. We've got the Warhammer show on Saturday, 2 p.m. Pacific, with Jessica. It looks like I will be getting... So last time we were working on the colors for my army, so I can actually start seriously painting my Space Marines. It'll be about time. We're trying to figure out like the perfect way of making a hot pink paint color, which is not super easy. There are some out there that you can buy, but we're trying to make our own. And we may have hit upon the ultimate way to do it. My wife has some interesting pigments and micas that she uses for her soaps. And I think I can make paint out of it. So I asked some buddies who are super expert painters, and they pointed me to a product that people use for mixing their paints for airbrushes. And so I ordered some, and I'm going to try mixing up some paint with it. So we'll definitely be taking a look at that. And of course talking about everything that's new, and we'll do some fun lore talk, because that's always good. It's a good time. And then, folks, Saturday night, Homebuddies group stream. It's gonna be right here. It's my turn. I'm working on something pretty fun. If it all works out, it'll be very fun, very funny. It'll definitely have a explicit content warning. So there. Quite possibly another classic. Plans are not set in stone yet, but we're working on something special. A favorite of many people, you might say. I think I have it linked down below, but I do have the YouTube channel now as well. If you want, you can go and subscribe to it. Don't bother with notifications, of course. If you don't, I don't know anybody who does, but you can subscribe. But I am uploading streaming episodes there, so you can, if you want to, if you want to repeat viewing or you see something you missed. Typically, they're good for like the Saturday Warhammer streams, and especially I put all of the group streams that I've run up there, so those are fun. But yeah, gives people a place to see the stuff that I'm working on when I'm not live. Because the VODs on Twitch they're okay. You can't really find them unless you're already on my page looking at my stuff. So, a little bit more discoverability on YouTube. I won't put every single stream on there. I'm not putting last week's Figure Friday stream when I was suffering through just the head of that Metal Earth model, because that was a nightmare. Alright, this dude's pretty cool too. It's got some spiky bits. Chainsword, bolt pistol. Look at that horn. Glorious. Glorious. Cool. Let's see, what's a good... So yeah, here's... to compare... New one on the left, old one on the right. Proportions are definitely better on the new one. Or at least they managed to hide some of the less good proportions. Oh, like that abdomen. Yikes. The groin area. These old models are definitely feeling their age. Still useful, but they do not look as good. Yeah, this helmet's great. Cool. I didn't quite finish the squad. I've got 3 more guys to go, but I do need to head off. Got lots of kid stuff happening today. Thanks everybody for hanging out. This is super fun. I'm so excited that I'm almost done with Shadowspear. Literally 3 more models to go. I probably get those done while not on stream. So the next time I'm on, we can start on something fresh. Like I said, I've got a bunch of Blackstone Fortress models to finish building and so much more. We can actually do some terrain building too. I've got the... Oh, what was the name of that set? It was right before Kill Team was brought back. You got the orcs and... In it, orcs and Space Marine Scouts, and then a bunch of terrain. What the heck was the name of that thing? Under something? I don't know. Anyway, I have that box somewhere, so we could build terrain as well, which is always fun and interesting. But I leave you now. Definitely come back today, 3 p.m. Pacific time on Pete Wiz channel for Myths and Video Games featuring Hades. This will be our final Hades episode. And then again, no stream tomorrow. We'll be back on Friday for Figure Friday. We'll play around with some other models or toys or something. I don't know. Haven't planned it out, but it'll be good no matter what. Otherwise, yeah, for those of you who are here in the United States, who are celebrating, hopefully at home, not doing anything crazy, have a good Thanksgiving tomorrow. And that's it. All right. See you, everybody. Bye-bye.